as I said, we're going to be starting at 7, and trust me, we'll be wrapping it off by 8:30. And once again, to reiterate, the main agendas that we have for this session is these 4 things. It's not a regular class. This is a one-time thing. Okay. Purushottam, I guess that answers it. Okay. So these are the main 4 agendas that we have. We'll be first and foremost trying to understand what exactly is full stack development, because even if you're not completely familiar with this, what exactly full stack development is, you would have heard this word called a full stack development at some point. Okay, front end development, back end development. These are terminologies which are used on a day-to-day basis in the IT industry. Okay, so the very first thing you want to go in and do is understand what is full stack development. That's the very first concern that we have. Okay, so full stack development. Okay, so let's just go in and remove out the full stack part from here. I'm pretty sure you guys are somewhat familiar with what web development is. Okay, not the whole session. The entire front end will not be wrapped up in an hour and a half. It's a pretty vast topic. Okay, so I'll be taking up all the questions. Don't worry, I'll be taking up all the queries that you'd have regarding full stack and whatsoever at a particular part. But for now, please do let me go in and just address these 4 queries that we have, so that you would have a better understanding of what full stack development is. And if you want to actually get into full stack development, I'll also be covering the roadmap in which you can go in and follow, so that you can, go in and become a full stack developer. All right. Okay. So the idea here is, okay, so in order to understand what is full stack development, let's just forget about this full stack part altogether. Let's start with web development. Okay. Web development basically means you are going in and developing something called as web applications. Okay. Web applications, there are so many web applications that we use on a day-to-day basis. Be it Gmail, YouTube, there are tons and tons of web applications that run on a browser. Okay. So we call them as web applications because you use them in a browser, right? So developing web applications is called as web development. It's as easy as that. You're going to be creating websites which users will be able to go in and interact with, and it will have some sort of functionality. Okay, imagine that you want to go in and make a website. Fine, what will be its functionality, right? What is it meant to do? So that's a few things that needs to be taken into consideration when you're developing certain web applications. So web development basically is the process of going in and creating web applications that run on your browser. Okay, so how exactly do they work? Okay, so the basic web application, you take any web application, for example, you take YouTube, you think about YouTube, you use that same web application as this example. And the way these web applications or these websites will work is, initially they will have something called as a UI or a user interface. Okay, so the UI is basically what you will be able to go in and see within your browser. You go in and you type it down in your browser, okay, www.youtube.com, and a web page pops up. Okay, and within that web page, you'll see a lot of small boxes, each box having a video title in it and a small thumbnail, right? So what is that? That is a user interface. Interface is something that you interact with. If you want to go in and use YouTube, you see those, that there will be a sidebar over there where it will go and say, okay, these are the liked videos, this is the history, these are the videos that you uploaded. So, all these web applications will go in and have one thing for sure, and that is the user interface. Okay. Webinar. Okay, so I'll just address this small question that Gyanendra Singh is asking. Webinar kya matlab? Okay, webinar is a seminar that happens online. Okay, that's the most I can explain it with. All right. So coming back to this, so the way most of the web applications work is they'll have a user interface. The very first thing that you interact with, that the user interacts with, is something called as a user interface. Okay, everything that you see within a browser is what you call as a user interface. Okay, so the user interface is something you'll be able to go in and access using your browser. A web application works like this, a website works like this. Okay, so within your browser, you'll be able to go in and see a few things. That's called as a user interface, the UI. Okay, now this UI alone is not sufficient. Okay, because when you use YouTube, you go in and you click on a video and the video is completely being shown up, right? Like, where is that video coming from? It's not like it's stored in your laptop or in your phone, right? Okay, so the idea here is, whenever you go in and you create, or when you create a web application, or you take example of any web application that is out there, all of these web applications will have a front end, which is the user interface. This is the front end. Okay, front end in the sense, anything which the user can go in and interact with, that is what we call as front end. Okay, and then we have something called as back end. Okay, back end is basically everything that you cannot see. Okay, you use YouTube, but where is the video coming from? You go in and you sign up and it asks you for the user ID and password. Where is it getting verified from? Okay, you put your user ID, you put your password, and you're signing up, right? How does these things work? That's where we come across something called as back end. Back end generally involves two things and two things alone. You have something called as a server and a database. Database is like a hard disk. Think of like that. It's like a hard disk where a lot of information will be stored. Okay, so the server is going to be interacting with your browser. Okay, the UI that you have, it will interact with the browser, fetch whatever information that you want, and serve it back to you. Okay, so the way these web applications work is like they usually work on this request and response kind of relation. So whenever you are using any web application, your browser will go in and send in something called as a request. Okay, let me just erase this. Your browser will go in and send something called as a request to the server, and the server will fetch whatever information it wants from the database, and all that information is sent back as a response. Okay, this is the generic structure or the architecture of a web application. Every web application, be it YouTube, Gmail, Yahoo, Google Drive, all of these applications work on in the same idea. There will be a front end, which is your user interface, everything that you can see. That front end will be working in your browser. Your browser will send a request to your server. The server is not present in your laptop or in your phone. It is present somewhere we call as a warehouse, a data warehouse. Okay, so from that server will go in and fetch whatever information that you requested from the database, and it will give it back to you. This is how a basic web application works. Every web application is going to go in and have these two aspects in it. It will have a front end, or you can say a user interface, and there will be a back end that is going to be associated with it, which is basically the server and the database. So if you want to go in and create a web application, you will have to go in and learn how to create these three things. First is the user interface, second will be the server, and third will be the database. Okay, every web application, take a note of this, keep in mind, every web application that you use will have a user interface, it will have a server, and it will have a database. The browser basically goes in and has the UI interface, okay, and which will send a request to the server. The request will fetch the information from the database and send back the response. This is the overall architecture of every single web application that we use. Okay, so coming back to this, so this is basically the point where we can tie up or basically give a definition to what full stack development is. Okay, full stack development basically means being able to go in and work on both your front end and back end together. Okay, so if you want to go in and become a full stack developer, right, then what it basically means is that you are a person who is capable of handling both front end, which is making the user interface. Okay, front end development. What is front end all about? Front end basically means the interface, the UI. Okay, front end development basically means you are going to be going in and creating the user interface that the user will be interacting with. Okay, so you look at a website, there will be like titles, there will be images, there will be buttons that you can click. All of that is basically taken care by the front end developer. A person who pursues their career in front end development is responsible for going in and creating the user interface. All those buttons, images, text, and titles. That is what front end development is all about. Making a web page, making it look good. Okay. Then we have something called as back-end development, where you deal with the server and the database. Now, when I say just server and database, there are a lot of aspects to this, like authentication and so much more. But backend development basically has to do with maintaining and updating the server and the database. Now, a person who can do both front end and back end is called as a full stack developer. Okay. So full stack development, this is what full stack development is. Full stack development basically means that you will be able to go in and create the user interface as well as maintain the server and database for whatever web application that you created. Okay. Okay. I hope I'm properly audible, guys. Because two people are saying that my audio is distorting a bit. Can I get a quick heads up if I'm properly audible? Is there any latency that you're getting right now? It's clear, right? Okay, great. Sure. Okay. All right. So this is what this is basically what full stack development is. Get an idea. It doesn't matter whether you are in your last year of graduation or your first year of graduation. The overall idea about full stack development is that a person who can go in, full stack development is basically about going in and creating an entire working web application. Okay. All right. So I'll be taking in questions. I know you guys will be having a few queries here and there. We will be taking questions surely. Okay, I'll not run away from questions as in such. This is a discussion altogether. A discussion is where there are it's a two-way communication, right? So I will be taking in questions, but let me just address this particular part so that if at all there are certain queries that can be addressed there and there itself, great. Or else we can just go in and take up the queries at the end anyways. Okay. Okay. So that is basically what full stack development is. I hope this kind of makes clear what exactly is full stack development. Full stack development is basically working on with front end as well as back end. So if you are a good full stack developer, you can create an entire web application on your own. That's it. That's what full stack development is. A person who can make an entire web application. You can create the user interface as well as maintain the server and the database that is associated with the web application. Okay. So moving on with this, now the question comes, okay, so how exactly do we get started with full stack development? So in order to go in and get started with full stack development, the very first thing you need to address will be front end development. Okay. Back end development, yes, it involves server and database. But if you want to get started with full stack development, the very first thing that you'll have to go in and tackle will be that of front end development. Okay, which is basically all about going in and creating this juicy interface that we were talking about over here. Okay, how exactly do you go in and create this user interface? Things that the user will interact with. Okay, you want to go in and click some buttons, you want some images in your web page. How exactly do you go in and create them? Okay, so that's where that is basically what front end development is all about. So for going in and working with front end development, there are three main core skill sets that you want to go in and learn. Okay, so the first one is called as HTML or hypertext markup language. This is the main structure. This is the language that will help you to go in and define or create your web page. Okay, then we have CSS, which is basically used for styling, and then we have JavaScript, which is used for functionality. In order to keep it simple, think of front-end development as making art. Okay, what are you doing? You're going in and making art. All right. So think of yourself as a painter. Okay, you're a person who goes in and paints stuff. Okay. So initially, if you want to go in and paint something, you start with a blank canvas first and foremost. All right. Initially, you will go in and start with a blank canvas, right? Because in terms of front-end development, initially your browser or your web page will be completely blank. There will be nothing in your web page until you go in and add things into it. Okay. So the very first step for going in and making art or for painting something will be to go in and make a rough sketch. Okay. You need to go in and know, okay, so this is what I want to paint. So first thing you're going to do is to make a rough sketch. And that's what HTML allows you to do. HTML allows you to go in and add something called as elements. Okay. the way web pages work is that it will contain lots and lots of elements. What do you mean by these elements, right? So the thing here is simple. If I take any website, for example, I'll just take the Bytes official website as an example over here. Everything that you see within this website over here, okay, be it the navigation bar. If I click on this, okay, there is a pop-up bar that comes up over here. There are buttons that I can click. If I click on this, it redirects me to some other places. All of these images, buttons, everything that you see on a web page is what we call as an element. Okay, HTML is that particular programming language which allows you to go in and add elements onto your web page. Okay, the very first thing that you want to do is make a rough web page. You don't want it to look good. You want to make a rough web page with all the elements that are required for it to function. All the images, all the buttons, all the titles, navigation bar, checkboxes, forms, and so much more. So all of these are what we call as elements. HTML, what is HTML? It's a language. It's not a programming language. It's a markup language. It allows you to go in and add elements onto your web page. Okay, so basically by using HTML, you are going to be able to add something called as HTML elements onto your web page, because of which you will have some basic components inside of it. You can insert, you can add whatever you want into your web page, be it images, be it multimedia, videos, titles, buttons, and so much more. But the problem is, see, a rough sketch, okay, you take a paper and you draw something, you do a rough sketch, it doesn't look good, okay? And in order to make your website look good, we use something called as CSS, okay? So, before I jump into CSS and tell you what CSS does, I have a small poll for you people right now, okay? So, web development, if I'm not sure, because there are a few people who are asking, can you put it in the chat section, please? What is CSS? What is the full form of CSS? Right? CSS, right? CSS stands for Cascading Style Sheets. Okay. In the name itself, it's called cascading. I'll just write it up. Cascading Style Sheet. Okay. So in the name itself, it's written. I apologize for the bad handwriting. I really do have bad handwriting. Okay. So in the name itself, we have the word style. Okay. So what are you going to do? Using CSS, whatever HTML elements that you will go in and create, okay, whatever HTML elements you're going to go in and create, you will be able to add some styles. You'll be able to customize it using CSS. Okay. So basically it is equivalent to going in and coloring the rough sketch that you made. So let's say you want to go in and make a piece, a painting. So first you make a rough sketch. Now using CSS, you can color it. Okay. But see, now the thing is, yeah, so using HTML and CSS, you can make a really good looking website. Your web page or whatever web application that you're going to make will be really good looking. If you use HTML, if you learn HTML and if you learn CSS, you can make a really good looking web page. But that is not enough, right? Because the thing here is, as I showed you in this particular web page that I had to it, that I showed as well, I'm going to use the same web page. Okay. So the moment I click on a button, there is some kind of interaction that is seen. There is functionality. If I go in and click on master of programming language, if I click on this particular element, the web page reloads, right? So this is something that, we want our web pages to have as well. We want that dynamic interactiveness. Okay. We don't want our web page to be just static. We don't want it to be an image. We want it to be interactable. Okay, so that is where JavaScript comes into the picture. So by using HTML and CSS, you'll be able to make a really good looking web page. But in order to go in and give it functionality, we use a programming language. JavaScript is a programming language in order to go in and we use it to give it functionality. You'll be able to use JavaScript to go in and modify and update content dynamically. By clicking a button, you can go in and change an image. By clicking a button, you can go in and change the title. There are so many things. Okay, JavaScript is basically what gives a web page its interactiveness. So by learning these three skill sets, HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, you will be able to go in and create an entire web page And that's it. That's all about front-end development. Using these three, you can go in and create something called as a user interface. That's it. Okay. So now I don't have any analogy for JavaScript because see, HTML is basically equivalent to making a rough sketch. CSS is equivalent to going and coloring it. JavaScript, I'll say it is like, putting it in a frame and hanging it in the wall. Maybe. Okay, you can say it in that way. So, in order to go in and master these three particular skill sets, I'll tell you what to do. If you want to go in and learn HTML, alright, if you want to go in and learn HTML, the thing you need to go in and get familiar with is called as tags. HTML has tons and tons of tags. In order to see, because as I said before, HTML is all about going in and adding elements into your web page. What is an element? Images, buttons, and all of these. So in order to add these images, buttons, paragraphs, text, and everything, we have something called as tags. There are tons and tons of HTML tags which are meant for specific purposes. You want to go in and add a button, you have the button tag for it. You can use the button tag in order to go in and insert a button. You want to go in and insert a paragraph, you can use the paragraph tag, which is just a P. So in order to learn HTML, what you want to do is go in and just read through all the tags that are available so that you can create all these several elements that can be put up in a web page. Okay, so it has a generic structure altogether. We won't be able to cover it in detail because of time constraints of this webinar, but that's the idea here. CSS is all about going in and taking these elements and giving them certain styles, or we can say attributes. Okay, so each HTML element will have something called as attributes or properties. Okay, and one such attribute is called as the style attribute that you can use to go in and specify the styles, the CSS that you want to it. Okay, and then for JavaScript, there is again, if you want to go in and learn JavaScript, the first thing will be to go in and learn the basic constructs and syntaxes. JavaScript is somewhat similar to a typical programming language, but there are a lot of differences that you'd see in it. Okay, so with this, I think this is the right time to go in and do a quick hands-on. Okay, we're going to do a really quick hands-on just to go in and show you how easy it is to go in and get started with front-end development. Getting started with front-end development is a really simple thing. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, let me just go in and take you guys into my browser over here. Okay, and I will also be going in and sharing you link to this online compiler. Okay, so this, let me just go in and put it up in the chat section. I'm putting it in the chat section. All right. Lipa was saying, what is Java full stack developer? Okay, I'll address that as well. I'll certainly address it. Okay, there we go. So I've dropped in a link in the chat section. It will redirect you to this particular page. So in case, if I just go in and write some random HTML code and CSS and everything, yeah, you will just go in and look at it. But what we want to do is we want to go in and do a hands-on now. So what we'll try to do is we'll try to create a really simple web page kind of thing here. Not anything complex. We'll just add in some title, put some paragraph, some text, and we'll try to make it a bit interactive. We'll give it some functionality. Okay, it's not going to be much, but trust me, it will give you a pretty good understanding on how to go in and work with HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Okay, so now what you can see over here is, if you just go into that particular link, the link is there in the chat section. You can open up this codepen.io. There is no need to sign up as well. Okay, so what you can see over here is there are three separate sections that you see here, right? You have a section for writing HTML, you have a section for writing CSS, and you have a section for writing JS. Okay. Now, generally, when you're developing application, the CSS and JavaScript files need to be interlinked. But as we're writing up in this online platform, that need not be written in. It's fairly simple to use. You write your HTML code inside of this. You write your CSS inside of the CSS box that we have, and JavaScript inside of here. That's it. That's all we want to do. Okay. So what we're going to do now is we're going to just go in and try to make something a bit interactive. Let's see. Okay. So if you want to go in and make your own web page, you can do so. Okay. All you have to do is just create a file with the extension that is .html. And inside of that HTML file, if I go in and write anything, okay, so you can see this white space over here. This is how my web page will look like. And as I said, initially you start with a blank canvas. Your web page will not have anything. You start with a blank canvas. Okay. So what's the first thing we want to do? The first thing is to go in and make a rough sketch. We need to add some elements, right? And that's where HTML comes into the picture. HTML allows you to go in and add some elements into your web page. So what I'm going to initially start with is like, let's just give a title here. I want a small title. So I'm just going to go in and write prep bytes. Just write prep bytes. I don't know anything about HTML. Let's pretend I don't know anything about HTML. I'm just going to write prep bytes inside of my HTML file. And as you can see here, right? It is just getting printed as it is. Pretty simple. Okay, so I have a web page in which the whatever contents I write, see, whatever is written inside of your HTML will be displayed in your web page. That's what happens here. Okay, so this is the HTML web page that is being displayed. So if you write anything inside of this HTML document, it will just go in and get displayed. Okay, let me add a few more things into it. Okay, let me just get something more. I don't know what to type. So I'm gonna go in and wait for this. Wait. Okay, let me just add in something more. So I'm gonna write a sentence here. The quick brown fox jumped over the lazy dog. So this sentence is actually what we call as a panagram. Okay, if you know what a panagram is, great. If you don't, this sentence over here is a sentence that is usually used to check if your keyboard is working correctly or not, whether all alphabets are working correctly or not. So a panagram is a sentence which basically has all the alphabets in the English language. So you can see every single alphabet in the English language present over here. Okay, so as you can see, I just added in a paragraph over here. And the thing is, okay, that seems fine. Like everything just gets printed out in the web page as it is. But that doesn't look good. I want it to be a bit more good looking, right? I want some big titles. I want them to be arranged properly, one line after another. Okay. So this is where we're going to go in and start using our HTML elements. Okay. So I want this prep bytes to be the title. Okay. I want this prep bytes to be the title. So if you want to go in and create titles, or if you want to display something in bold, you can use a tag which is called as the H1 or the header tag. Okay. So you can use something called as H1 tags. Okay. So now you can see that if I just go in and take this prep bytes, and I'm going to put it between this H1, you can see this is called as the starting tag. Okay, I'll put less than symbol, inside that I'll write H1 and then a greater than symbol. So this is called as the H1 tag. Inside of this H1 tag, I see, so this is the opening tag, and this one over here with the slash, with the backslash over here. Okay, you can see the backslash, right? This is called as the closing tag. So inside of this, I can go in and put whatever I want. Okay, so inside of this, let me just go in and write prep bytes. So what did I just do here? I created an HTML element. I created an HTML element, which is an H1 element, a header element. Okay, an H1 element. And what is it? What is the content of it? What does it basically have? It has this thing called as prep bytes. Okay, so now you can see, if you look at my web page over here, oh, now prep bytes is really big and it's bold. Okay, so which kind of seems good. Okay, now I want this sentence over here to be a paragraph. I want it to look or seem as it is. So let me just go in and use a tag. Another way, see, the entire thing, if you want to learn how HTML works, the idea is really simple. You have to memorize tons and tons of tags. Memorize all the tags that you can get. There are tons and tons of web resources that you can go in and utilize. We even have a YouTube channel where you can, if you want, you can go in and check out for the front-end development roadmap. If you want, I'm just saying. So if you want to go in and get good at, if you want to go in and learn HTML, the step will be pretty simple. Just go in and memorize all the tags that HTML provides you with. Okay. So this is basically, this you can see over here is all that I have used up altogether. Okay, I'm not using, this is not the standard way to create an HTML file. Okay, for the people who are familiar with HTML, there is a standard syntax, right? We use the HTML tag, instead of there's a body tag, instead of that we put additional tags. Kind of not needed now for this. Okay, not needed, trust me. If you put anything inside of an HTML document, it will just get displayed. But in order to go in and structure it, okay, in order to go in and structure it properly, please make sure that you are following the right syntax. Okay, so for now, as we're just trying this out, no, this will be fine. Compiler link. Okay, I'm putting the compiler link in the chat section, guys. For people who have not opened it up, please do so. Okay, I'm gonna go in and rush it up a bit because we are kind of less on time. Okay, now I'm gonna add one more thing. I want to make a button. For button, I have a tag again. So for creating a button, we have a tag called as the button tag. Kind of simple to remember. See, most of the tags are really simple to remember. Every tag that you want to go in and use, majority of the tags, I'm saying majority of the tags, are pair tags, right? So there will be this opening tag and there will be a closing tag. So for button also, I have an opening and a closing tag. So I'll say click me. There you go. Oh, okay. Just don't go in and press Control Save. It will ask you to sign up. Don't press. I have a habit of pressing Control Save every time I go in and write something. So don't do that. So as you can see, if you want to go in and create a button, what do I have to do? I need to go in and use tags. For buttons, we have a tag called as the button tag. Okay. So between this opening tag, this is my opening tag, and this is my closing tag. How do I know this is the closing tag? You can look at this backslash over here, right? This slash thing. So that is the closing tag. Anything that I write between this opening and closing tag will be the contents of that particular HTML element. Okay, so there we go. We have a basic looking web page right now with a title, with a paragraph and a button. Now you can see that when I click on this button, nothing's happening because we haven't specified anything at all. Okay, so we'll do it. All right, so this is great. So what all we've learned till now is HTML basically is a document where anything that you write inside of that HTML document will be printed out or will be showcased in your web page. If you want to go in and customize your web page, or if you want to add specific elements, you can go in and use tags. Tags in general occur in pairs. There will be an opening tag and a closing tag that you can go in and use. Okay. Yes, there is. I'll also put down the. I'll also address the YouTube channel thing at the end. Okay, sure, no issues. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is, see, now it looks fine, but I want it to be a bit more colorful. Okay. So what I'm going to do is, I want to take this prep bytes. Okay. I have this title over here, right? I have this prep bytes title. So what do I want to do? I want to go in and change its color. Okay. So in order to do that, so if you want to give some custom styling, right? We have to go in. We can change background color as well. Okay. We'll do it. I will do it, surely. So in order to go in and customize, your web page, we'll be using CSS. Okay. Now there are several ways in which you can go in and customize particular elements, but I'm going to keep it simple. For now, I'm going to keep it simple, right? And I'll say, let me customize the H1 element. Okay. So H1, I've written this prep bytes over here inside of H1, right? I want to customize this H1 element right now. Let's say. So I'm going to write H1. That is the name of the element. Okay. Prep bytes is present inside of the H1 tags, right? So H1 is the element. Okay. So I want to go in and customize that. So I'm going to write H1. Now I'll put curly brackets inside of this. This is not the only way. There are other ways as well. You can create classes. You can give identifiers. But right now I'm going to keep it simple. And I'm giving a property to this H1 element. This prep bytes is written inside of H1 element, right? So I'm going to give it a property. So I can go on and customize this by going in and changing several properties or attributes that this H1 element has. Okay. Now, much like HTML, you will have to go in and have a really brief idea on the properties or styles that an element can have. Okay. So every element will have certain properties. So you can go in and change them. Okay. Now, for now, I'm just going to change its color. I'll just change the color. Okay. So let me just go in and say color. Okay, now here some people will go in and make some mistakes. Okay, people generally make a mistake. They'll go in and write CLOUR. Don't do that. CLOR. Okay, Now you might say, sir, but color has you in it. No, that's the problem, because we have Britain English and then we have the United States English, US English, and when CSS was basically being built, they went with US English and we have color without a U. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to change the color of this prep bytes, and what I'll do is I'll just inside of these curly brackets, I'm gonna write color, and then you put a colon. No equal to, don't put equal to, put a colon, and then you can write whatever color you want. Okay, you can write whatever color you want. So I'll write red. Let me write red, and there you go. Prep bytes is now red. I go in and write blue. Prep bytes is now blue. Okay, I want some custom color. Okay, I want some really custom color right now. Let's say I want, give me a custom color, people. Guys, give me a custom color. A really specific color. I want a really specific color. Anything, any color is fine. Just give me a custom color. Come on, people. There are so many colors in this world. Crimson. Crimson is a color. Is crimson? I know. Cyan. Oh yeah, cyan is good. Cyan. Yeah. Let's try peach. I think cyan will work here. Yeah, cyan works. Will peach work? No, peach doesn't work. Okay, good. Thank you. Okay. So you can see whatever color you put over here, it will work. But there are some colors like peach which will not. Okay. So how do I get the color? Okay. So the way this works is like, see, every single color in the entire world is given a unique number. Okay. Every color in the entire world has a unique number which we call as the hex value. Okay. So what I'm going to do is, I am just going to go in and write peach hex code. Okay. So every color has a unique hex value, which is what we call as hex code. Okay. So this is peach, I guess. Okay, this is peach. So now you can see this is the hex code for it. So I'm going to copy the whole thing with the hash. Copy the whole hex value with the hash. And I'm going to bring it here. And instead of peach, let me just paste it. Okay, I'm going to just go in and paste that whole thing there. And as you can see, now prep bytes is in that particular value. There we go. Okay, so this is what we call as hex value. You can either specify the color using hex value, or if you want, you can also go in and specify the RGB codes as well. But for now, this is fine. Okay. Now, let's do something better, right? Let's do something better. Guys, give me one more color. Okay, don't give me one more color. You guys will give me weird colors. This is a website that I use. If you want, you can go in and bookmark this. It's called colorhunt.co. You will get different color palettes that you can work with. I'm going to fetch this red, this hot red color. Okay, so I'm just going to click on it. I have the hex code. Now, the reason why I copied it is because I'm going to copy the CSS, okay, this H1 property that we gave, and I'm just going to copy paste it. Okay, so I have the same thing written twice. Now, what I want you guys to do is try this out. Okay, so if you're already familiar with it, it won't be that fascinating, but please try this out. Now here in the second copy, in the first copy that I have, I'm just going to go and write colon hover, H-O-V-E-R. Hovering in the sense, see, right now I'm hovering on top of this button. That's what we mean by hover. Okay, so hover in the sense, if your mouse is on top of that element, you can do custom operation. You can give custom styles if certain, scenarios are matched. There are so many such, events, you call them as events, that you can put up over here. So I'm going to just paste this color here. Oh no, where is my color? I forgot my color. Let me take my color, copy, and paste it here. And there we go. Okay, now you can see nothing happened. Okay, I gave that hover color and nothing happened. Okay, but see, the thing here is, if I go in and take my mouse, you can see my mouse here, right? You can see my mouse. The moment I take my mouse on top of prep bytes, its color changes. There you go. Take the mouse on top of it and the color changes. Wow, great, nice. Okay, so similar to this, there are a lot of cool things that you can do with it. Customization, there is like infinite amount of customizations that you can do. Okay, so HTML allows you to go in and add elements into your web page, and CSS allows you to go in and give it styling. Okay, now let's come into JavaScript. So the only reason I made this button is because I wanted to make it do something. Okay, and for that we're going to use JavaScript. JavaScript gives your web page some functionality. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to go in and change the title from Prep Bytes to Elevation Academy. Okay, so that is what I'm going to do. The moment I click this button, I want to change the contents of this H1 element. See, I'm not going to say a title or anything. What do I want to do? On clicking this button, which says click me, I want to change the contents of this H1 element. Okay, so for doing this, the very first thing we are going to do is we're going to give our H1 element an ID to work with. Okay, so an ID, like you guys have IDs in your college, right? You have a registration number kind of thing. So that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to give a unique name to this to this H1 element that we have, right? I'll call it heading. Fine, that's it. Okay, so I'm going to write H1 ID equal to heading. Okay, so the idea here is that, see, there are a lot of different ways you can do this. I am just using an ID here. There are tons of different ways this can be achieved. I'm just showing you the easiest or whatever I can think of right now. Okay, so what did I just do? In order to go in and change the contents of this H1 element, I went in and I gave it a heading. You can put it inside of either single inverted or you can put it inside of double inverted comma. So I'm saying ID equal to heading. Okay, so once this is done, okay, now I can go in and come inside of this, like I'll go inside of this button, and this is where we're going to go in and add something called as an event handler. Okay, we're going to add something called as an event handler. So one of these event handlers that I want is called as on click. Okay, so on click, this thing that I've written over here, this is called as an event handler. Okay, event, you say events, right? So the event here is when I click this button, the event that occurring is called as on click. That is the name of the event that is occurring. Okay, so on click of this button, I can go in and perform some operations. Okay, I can go in and perform some operations that I want. Okay, so what we will do is, yeah, let's just go in and say, or else we don't want it, right? Because okay, so what you're gonna do is we can go. I'll just go in and say, let's create a function here. Okay, so I'll go into my to my JavaScript, and we'll create up a small function. Okay, this is something that you will have to learn as well. Every particular programming language will have some sort of syntaxes. Okay, so what I'm doing here is I'm gonna go a bit on the faster side here. Okay, I'll say change HTML, change H1 element. Okay, so this is the name of the function. Okay, so what I've done is I went in and I've made a function here. Okay, so what I can do is on click of that button, okay, on click of this particular button, okay, I want that function to go in and get executed. Okay, so whatever function I will go in and specify, okay, it's going to be written using JavaScript. All the functionality is going to be given in using JavaScript. Okay, so you can see on click of this button. Okay, so on click over here is what we call as an event handler. It's an event, right? So on click of this particular button, this change H1 element function that I created using JavaScript will be, executed. So I'm just going to go in just to show you console.log change H1 element is called. Okay, so if I go in and open up, so at the bottom part, see at the bottom part there is this thing called as console, right? Wait, unexpected end of input. Oh, so you can see the moment I click on this button, okay, you can ignore the red part there. See now, the moment I click this button, you can see this is getting printed, right? Change H1 element is called. You can see it's getting printed. So that is what we did. Like now I'm giving functionality to this web page of mine. Okay. So one of the really important concepts, okay, is this helpful for placements? Of course it is. Of course it is. On click is not a tag, buddy. Okay, on click is not a tag. It's an attribute, you could say. It's called an event handler. Okay. Why is H1 capital? Okay, it's not compulsory. You can give it any. Here it is not compulsory at all. I just gave the name as it. You can give your own name. No issues. I can give it my own name. Okay, I'll give it my own name. Fine. I'll call it Pony. Okay, and I'll change the name here also. Let me give it my name. I don't know why I'm giving it my name. I never do this. Okay, I'll just save this. And now if I just click on the button, you can see Boney is called. You can give it any name that you want. The only concern is it has to be a function. Okay. So on click is basically like the moment you click on that button, whatever function, whatever you written inside of a function will go and get executed. That's how it's working. Okay. I'm just keeping it bare simple. Okay. Like we cannot deep dive into this much because of time constraints, but this is just a really simple hands-on for you people to understand and get into web development. Okay. All right. So now in order to change the contents of my title over there, we're going to do something called as DOM manipulation. Okay. So the first thing I want is to get the heading. So I'll say document dot get element by ID. Okay. So you need to be really specific here. Even if you go and you mess up even, see, you have to write it in this way. Okay. So this is called as camel case. So you can see here the name of the function. Okay. So this is a function. Okay. So it has 4 words in it. Get element by name. There are 4 words in it. Get element by name. Okay, sorry, by not by name, by ID. I'm going to use by ID. Okay, why did I have done? Okay, so ID is the 4th word. So now you can see that the first alphabet of every word. Okay, see this, observe this. In JavaScript, all the predefined functions will be written in the same way. The first alphabet of every word will be in uppercase. So when I'm writing get element by ID, you can see except for the first word, the second word's first alphabet is capital. The third word's first alphabet is capital. The fourth word's first alphabet is capital. This makes it easier for you to remember. Okay, it's called camel case. All right. So what I'm going to do is, JS is case sensitive. If you go in and you take this and put small I, right, won't work. Don't do that. Okay, I has to be capital. All right. All right. So now what we're going to do is I want to go in and get my heading. All right. So what is the name we gave to the heading? Heading. Okay. So nice naming, right? I gave the heading name as heading. Okay. So I'm going to get the heading. Okay. And I'll say dot inner HTML. Okay. Is equal to elevation academy. That's all. Okay. Don't ask me. So inner HTML allows you to modify contents of your HTML, document. Okay. So that's it. So now if I go in and click it, you can see now initially it was Prep Bytes. Now it is Elevation Academy. That's all. Okay. The moment I click on the button, so if you want, you can do that. Like, I can change this text now. Okay. Let me change it back to Prep Bytes. I should have made a toggle button, but that will be like a bit too much. So now you can see, okay, initially it's Prep Bytes. Oh, the button is already clicked, right? Yeah. I'll have to reload it, but I'm not going to reload it. So I'll just keep it as it is. Okay. So now you can see, okay, let me show you one last thing on this. See, we did this hover thing, this hover animation thing. Now if I click on this button, you can see the content also gets updated. This is what HTML, CSS and JavaScript are for. Like with these 3 skill sets, you will be able to go in and create a completely functioning user interface. The user interface can be completely built using HTML, CSS and JavaScript. Okay. I hope this kind of goes in and gives you a pretty good understanding. If everything is clear up until this point, if everything is clear, can you guys type, I don't know what should I make. Okay, just go in and type clear. Just write CLR in the chat section, please. Okay, if it is clear till this point, can you guys just quickly go in and type CLR in the chat section, please? Okay, so do try this out. Learning HTML CSS is fairly simple. It's really simple. Okay, there's just so many things to memorize. Quite a few things that you have to memorize. Okay. All right, great. Okay, so now now that we're done with this, you can go in and start practicing upon this as well. Now, see, let's just jump back in here right now. See, now by learning HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, yes, you can make a complete user interface. But the thing here is, when you're working on really large applications, really large products as in such, using plain vanilla HTML, CSS, and JavaScript can be really tricky. Okay, because for example, if let's say you're working in Amazon, okay, you may end up working in Amazon. Okay, so the thing with Amazon is, uh, every single web page that they go in and like if everyone has used the platform before, but the interface has like a lot of components inside of it. Okay, so generally if you go in and work on certain creating certain web applications using just HTML, CSS, and JavaScript is like really strenuous. It gets really tiring. Okay, so that's why since the advent of 2015, okay, there has been a really large, I'll say, upfront in going in and using frameworks. Okay, you can use HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Yes, you need it. You need HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Okay, for web development, you are gonna go in and need HTML, CSS, JavaScript. Okay, you learn these, good. If you're good with Java, backend can come in handy. Java, Python, PHP, JavaScript, all of this can be used for backend development, for creating your server and your maintaining or interacting with your database. You can use these particular languages. But the thing here is, using plain HTML, CSS, JavaScript is pretty cumbersome, and that's why majority, or I'll say all of the web applications these days have moved on to using something called as frameworks. Okay, so what exactly are these frameworks? There are tons and tons of user interface frameworks or front-end frameworks that are available. Now, if you don't know what a framework is, idea is simple. Some poor guy went in and wrote lots of code. He made lots of functions. He made lots of components. He made lots of elements. Okay, some guy wrote the code. You just have to go in and use it. That's called a framework. A framework is basically this bunch of modules, modules, functions, styles, attributes, lot of things together. They compile it and they make something called as a framework. You are going to be using HTML, CSS, JavaScript, yes, but there will be pre-built components, pre-built, things that you can go in and utilize over here. Okay. Yes. Okay. In JavaScript, yeah, you guys this particular thing quickly. I'm pretty sure you guys would have done this or tried this out at some point. See, what you can do is you open up your browser plus Control-Shift-J and your console should open up here. Okay, you can see this, right? Your console opens up. Just press Control-Alt-J, Control-Shift-J, and your console will open up. Okay. Now you can use this as a calculator now. I'll write 123 plus 567, 690, calculator. Okay. Like JavaScript, this is basic, like you can write JavaScript instructions here as well and it will be executed, it will be evaluated. But this is the best place to go in and see, for example, I can write console.log, prep bytes, elevation, academy. I'll press that and you can see prep bytes elevation academy is now getting printed. You can go in and run JavaScript instructions, okay, inside of your console. You can do this. You can definitely do this. Okay, just to put it out there. All right. So moving back, as I said, these frameworks, right? The reason these frameworks were brought into the picture is because these set of frameworks, they made development much faster and way more reliable. Because you didn't have to worry about going in and creating something from scratch. There were modules, there were functions that were pre-built that you can go and utilize because of these frameworks. There are tons and tons of UI frameworks that are currently dominating the market. Okay, every single web application that you see they will be using one or another framework or UI framework at this point. Out of this, at number 3, Okay, in terms of popularity, you can, if you want to go in and check the UI framework rankings, you can just go in and search for the Stack Overflow. I'm pretty sure everyone knows Stack Overflow. So Stack Overflow conducts this, annual survey where Angular was basically the fifth most demanded on-demand JavaScript framework. Somewhere was also Vue. So this one, see, this is Angular. In case you didn't know, this is a JavaScript framework. Okay, this is also a JavaScript framework. We have Angular, we have Vue, and this one over here, I don't think I need to take the name of it. It's called React. React, this thing called as React. React is the number one most in-demand JavaScript framework, which allows you to go in and create user interfaces. Okay, so the entire IT industry slowly moved or migrated across to using these, client-side frameworks so as to go in and create their user interface. See, it's not something new. It's not a new programming language as in such. Inside of React, Angular, and Vue, you are still using HTML, JavaScript, and CSS. These are the same things that you're using. In Angular, you use TypeScript, but same thing. It's an equivalent to JavaScript. Okay, but these three things, your basics have to be clear if you want to move into React. So for all the people who said they are comfortable with HTML, CSS, and HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, your next step will be to go in and learn React. Learn a framework. Pick up Angular or React, but I'll say React is the best because it has over 1 million developers who are currently using it. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So where was I? Yeah. So similar to that for backend also, for maintaining or for interacting with your server and your database, there is also, instead of using JavaScript, plain JavaScript, we are currently using a particular framework called as Node.js. Node.js can be used for creating web applications, mobile applications, desktop applications, basically everything. You want to create something, you can create it using JavaScript. JavaScript is like that powerful. Okay. So, oh no. I don't want this to close. Okay. Let me just quickly jump back into it. Okay. So, see, this whole thing, right? So now if you want to go in and see, React, as I said, is the most on-demand, in terms of demand, it's the most on-demand UI framework that exists out of there. Okay. So, so if you're using React, okay, there you basically will be going in and coming across this particular tech stack, this full stack, it's called a tech stack, which is called as MERN stack. Alright. So, and kind of makes sense as React is so popular, because there is demand. See, the idea is really simple. This is how businesses work. If there is demand, there has to be supply. If there is demand, you provide people with that thing and they will buy. That's exactly what is happening in here as well. MERN stack, where M stands for something called as MongoDB, which is your database. Okay, so this is the stack that you're going to be using here. MERN stack is this full stack development where you use MongoDB for your database, Express.js for the connectivity and the authentication and everything else, and then you use React for the user interface for the front end, and then you use Node for basically acting as your server, for creating up your server. So that's called as MERN stack. MERN stack, M is for MongoDB, E is for Express, R is for React, and N is for Node. Each of these alphabets representing a certain technology, which basically serves up for both your front end and back end. So React is going to be what you'll use for front end. Okay, and you can use MongoDB, Express, and Node for your backend. This is what MERN stack is, and there is high requirement for this particular tech stack out there. Okay. So what's the use of framework in front-end development? So if Node.js can be used to make apps, what about, okay. And the reason, so as there are it's pretty high in demand, even freshers who kind of who are starting off with their career in full stack development, they do get packages more than 8 lakhs per annum. 4 to 8 lakhs per annum is pretty common. Okay. And yeah, that's it. That's kind of where we come into the picture. Bytes Elevation Academy. We are the Elevation Academy. Okay, so there's Elevation Academy over here. Click on it, and you'll be able to go in and get in this entire info on what all you'll have to go in and learn for going in and completing out full stack development. Okay, so the very first thing that is needed over here is going to be your basics of HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. This is a MERN stack syllabus. Okay, the syllabus that you see over here, this is a MERN stack syllabus where you can see initially you'll have to go in and master basics of HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Okay, so front-end development basic, HTML and CSS is going to be covered out. Then JavaScript. So you follow the same roadmap. Learn HTML, learn CSS, learn JavaScript. Once that is done, you can move on to one or another framework. Framework, as I said, you go in and you learn that particular framework which is in demand. If there is a demand, you supply it. Okay, so React is the most in demand JavaScript framework. So learn React. Okay, so learning React will have like various other concepts that you will have to go in and learn, like routing and Redux and so much more. So once you learn React, your user interface will be taken care of. In terms of MERN stack, R is React, and that's basically all you need for creating a user interface. React uses HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Once that is done, you'll be able to you can then move on to the backend, where you'll have to go in and work or learn how to use Node.js to create up your server, and Express for going in and communicating or merging your server and your web page. Okay, you'll create a web page. You want it to communicate with the server, right? For that, you'll use Express. Alongside of that, you're going to be having to go in and learn some sort of database, which can be MongoDB, which is a non-relational database, and then your MySQL, which is a relational database. Okay, so yeah, so what I'm saying here is, see guys, so this is just a roadmap for full stack development. Okay, I'll get to the course in a minute, but for now, understand the roadmap. First, HTML, then CSS, then JavaScript. Pick up a framework, which is going to be React. After that, learn Node and Express, which will help you to go in and connect your web page and your server, and then pick up a database. Okay, or I'll say first database and then this, it's up to you. Okay, so this will be the whole progression for going in and getting mastery over in full stack development. Okay, now the course that we provide over here basically is covering out the entirety of MERN stack development. As I said, first thing, the main three principles that we work on. First is providing the right skill sets. You will be given, there will be sessions all together, there will be recorded videos, there will be assessments and everything for the entire roadmap of MERN stack development. Alongside of that, there will be also, we are also going in and teaching how to go in and deploy your website. So let's say you create a web page, you want to go in and put it up on the internet. We do go in and teach how to deploy it using GitHub pages and Netlify as well. And there is also, how to go in and do Google Analytics. That is also added up here. There will be mock interviews and projects that are going to be added up here as well. And then, see, the thing here is, the way this entire thing, okay, the way I'll put in the Elevation Academy link in the chat section as well. So in case you want to go in and give it a thorough read, please do. Okay. So let me just go in and take you through the idea over here, the way the course works. Okay. So just give me a quick second. See, so in order to go in and get hired, these are the main areas that you will have to go in and check out. You need to have strong skills, and see, you need experience. See, just because you went in and learned HTML, CSS, JavaScript, that's not enough. Because no one will believe you unless and until you show them some proof. That's where experience comes. Projects, build as many projects as you want. Build a strong resume, because your resume is going to go in and have all of the projects that you worked on. So it's going to add more and more value to it. knowledge of subject in the sense, if you're utilizing React, you should go on and know the inner and out of how to utilize a particular framework. Confidence and then HR interview. This is basically the main key areas that are basically checked in that of an interview for a full stack developer, right? And the thing that we do within our course is that these are the main key highlights, I'll say, for the course that we provide. Projects, there will be at least bare minimum 6 projects, but there are more than that. Okay, 6 is just a number, but there are more than 6 projects. Just saying. Resume mock interviews will be taken in. It's not just one. There will be countless. Profile building will be also done. Interview opportunities are also provided in as well. So the way this works is, see, for anyone who's taking up this course, there is a commitment issue that there's a commitment that you will have to take. Okay, you will have to be able to go in and put in at least 2 to 3 hours on a daily basis for 4 to 5 months. If you're able to do that, then the course is for you. If you can't, then it will be a lot difficult for you as well as for us. Okay, I'll put it out there because see, the tech stacks that you have to go in and learn will require comprehensive training, and you need practice, because unless and until you build those projects and put it up in your resume, it is not worth anything. Understand, if you want to get hired, the same 3 things come into the picture. You want the right skills, fine. You want the right experience as well. So you need to put in the amount of hours. Okay, there will be daily live classes, 2 hours, 5 days a week, and a hands-on session as well, 1.5 hours on a day-to-day basis. So 3.5 hours just on sessions which are mentored by us. Apart from that, you will also have to go in and like prepare. If you want, you can prepare in by yourself as well. But usually the sessions that are taken are more than enough. That's what happens. Class timings are flexible, and there will be also 24/7 doubt support, you can say. These are live doubt supports where you can go in and interact with the mentors, and they will go in and get your queries resolved. Okay. Alongside of that, as an interview procedure, you don't need to go in and approach companies. We'll do that for you. Once the moment, see, now you might go in and say, sir, what if I don't get placed? That's not going to happen. If you're reaching the placement, stage, trust me, you will have all the skill sets that are needed to go in and get recruited. Okay. So by the end, we will be pushing you through to companies because there are tie-ups altogether that we have, and you will be went in and sent in for placements, and there is a small thing to address there as well. Okay, there will be assessments. You have to go in and complete all the assessment, pass all the assessments, and finish off the projects. Once you go in and check all of this out, you will be placed. That's what the Prep by Salvation Academy is all for. And this is the overall path that we follow. You can see there will be HTML, there will be a project. GitHub CSS, there will be a project. JavaScript, there will be a project. React, there will be a project. You learn Node and Express, there will be a project. You learn MongoDB, there will be a project. And there will be deployment. And finally, the whole thing has to be then further in and published out. As I said, the experience part comes into the picture here. Because when you have these projects built out, you're not just making a fake claim that, okay, I know this. Just because you're saying that you know this, no one's going to believe you. You need to have proof over there. That's why projects come into the picture, right? And it's going to be project intensive. This will be assessment intensive, and that's the overall case of this. Okay. So, can you tell me about my doubts? Yes, buddy. I'll just quickly come into the query part as well. I'll take in all the doubts that you guys have. Just one last thing to address here. So, for all the people who are, let me just go in and close this poll. I forgot the poll was still live. Okay, it's fine. It's closed. Okay. So the thing here is, the way this works is the way the course works is you can get in all the information that you want. There are testimonials as well as information on the companies that have recruited people that we have trained in as well. Now the whole process, as you can see, it's put up over here. It's mainly open for 2021, 2022, 2023 pass outs as well. Also for 2020 pass outs, it's also open for 2020 pass outs as well. Okay. Now coming across for the price. Okay. Now let me go on and tell you how this works. So this is pay once and pay after getting placed plan. Okay. So the way this works is like if you want to go in and enroll in the course, there's going to be an initial enrollment fee that you'll have to pay, which is 40,000, which can also be paid in EMIs as well. There are also scholarships, because you might say 40,000 is too much. If there are also scholarships, but scholarships have criteria. If you want, you can go in and get in touch with our academic counselors as well for this. I'll share in a form at the end. If you want, you can get in touch with the academic counselors. They'll guide you through it. But bear in mind, there are criteria. So there is an initial fee of 40,000, which basically can be paid up in EMIs as well. Once that is taken into account, after only you get placed, you don't need to pay the rest of the amount. You don't need to pay, you don't need to, let's say you are still studying right now. Whatever the remaining amount is, that is something you will be paying out of your pocket after you get placed. Okay, you don't need to pay any additional amount apart from the enrollment fee unless you go in and get placed. We will be training you for the duration of 5 to 6 months. Once you get placed, then and then alone, you need to go in and pay the remaining amount, which is the 1,50,000 plus GST. Okay, which also is done in EMI. Okay. So this is the overall crux of it. Okay, and trust me, there is guaranteed placement. We will ensure that you do get placed. Okay, because getting till the placement stage on itself is a task that will require serious commitment. And if you are willing to take up that commitment, we will be there to go in and work hand in hand with you people so that we can get you placed. That's kind of what the Bytes Elevation Academy is all in about. Okay, you can go in and read up about the entire thing in our official webpage at bytes.com. You can go to Elevation Academy, and all the information, the syllabus, and all the other information is present over there. Okay, so I'm going to just launch in one more last poll, which is in for the course interest. So if you're interested, you can go in and fill in that yes, I will. You can just put it on yes. The academic counselors will be getting in touch with you. You can go in and discuss with them regarding the EMI, the scholarship details, and whatsoever that is needed. And the placement, whatever additional information that you're going to need, you can also go in and discuss it with them as well. The post-placement fees and the GST. Let's take 2 lakhs. Right. The bare minimum placement is that of 4 lakhs per annum. Okay. The bare minimum is 4 lakhs per annum. So you put in 2 lakhs and you are getting 4 lakhs every other annum. But if you actually put in all the effort, it can go up to 8 lakhs per annum. So let's say best case scenario, you invest 2 lakhs and you're getting 8 lakhs per annum. That's how the course has been planned out. I'm just putting it out there. Just putting it out. Okay, yeah, the YouTube channel is, I'll plug in the link in the chat section. Just a second. So we have roadmaps over there as well. So if you want, you can go in and view them as well. All right. Yeah. Okay. I don't know why that started playing. There you go. Just people, if you have any queries with anything whatsoever, please do go in and put it in the chat section. I'll feel free. There is no hesitation for you people to have. Yes, guys. You can put your queries or whatever in the chat section. Be related to HTML, CSS, full stack development, DSA. I can help you to address that. Let's not talk about DSA. This is for full stack development. Okay, so the first thing is, can you show me the backend technology? See, the backend part is basically like, backend basically concerns both your server and your database, right? So one of the things that you'll have to go in and learn with database is that you need to go in and know you need to know at least 2 databases. One relational database, let's say MySQL, and one non-relational database. Best one would be MongoDB. Okay, so once you have a database, you want it to go in and interact with your web page. Okay. But you don't want your web page to directly fetch information from the database. You want an intermediate. So that's where the server comes. So in order to create in the server, we have our Node.js. So Node.js is used for going in and creating the server. Okay. And once you have a server, so you have your web page, you have your server, you have your database. In order to connect them, we use Express. Express is again, you know, a JavaScript framework that can be used for the connection purposes. Okay. Okay. So can I go? So what about placements? The placement part, as I said, you can go in and get in touch with the academic council. They can give you a much better idea here. Can I go for internship if I have basic knowledge of HTML and CSS? Yes, you can. But see, during internships, you will be, you know, whichever company or wherever you are going in for the internship, they surely will go in and ask you to learn a particular framework or anything whatsoever. At least they'll ask you to go in and learn Bootstrap. Okay, Bootstrap or jQuery or something as in such. Because plain HTML CSS kind of makes the overall process of creating web applications a bit more slower, right? And there are, again, integration problems that people face. So depending on where you're doing the internship and which tech stack that they use, they might ask you to go in and learn something additionally, because internship is more about not just working, it's also about learning and working. So they'll ask you to go in and prepare upon that as well. Okay. All right. The next one that we have is, so what is Java full stack development? Okay, so Java full stack development is the same thing. You'll be able to go in and create the entire web app. Okay, but here you're going to be using in a different tech stack altogether. Okay, so we have Java Swing, which again is a framework based on Java. You can use Java for backend connectivity. Database can be any database that you want. See, as I said, every application requires three things: user interface, then you have the server and the database. The database can be any database that you want. Connectivity purposes and for everything else, for UI, you can use frameworks, Java frameworks, or you can use Java on itself for the connectivity purposes, and for the UI, you have frameworks. That's how it works. Does full stack need any DSA? Not much. See, web development doesn't need intensive DSA, but see, DSA isn't something which is specific to any specific department or discipline. DSA will be, it comes in handy regardless wherever you are. Okay, like you have a function called, like we have callback stacks in React. Yeah, that's recursion, same idea. So, but I'll say not intensively. DSA is not needed in much with that of web development, but it can help though. Okay, because you are building up your logic, you're working on your logic building, right? Yes, guys, any other queries? You can put up whatever queries you'd have in the chat section. Anything else, people? Yeah, regarding that, you can go, okay, Pratiksha is saying, okay, Pratiksha, you can go in and get in touch with your academic counselors. They'll give you the proper details regarding that. Okay. If you can, within the web page itself, you can even register in there, or if you want, you can also, like, if you would have put in the interest thing in the poll, they'll still go in and get in touch with you. What are the best jobs for full stack development? Job roles. Full stack developer is a job profile, buddy. Okay, see, if you are a full stack developer, you can work as a full stack developer, as a front end developer, you can work as a back end developer, but you are best of both, so you are a full stack developer.